Question 6. Is there such thing as miraculous healing? Yes. There are 3 key components. First, the all initiates the healing process in accordance with our desire to heal. Second, our faith, via the placebo effect, enables healing to occur, may or may not be instantaneous. And third, the source of the offer of healing must be credible, or at least plausible, to us. A limiting factor is the spiritual law of free will, as healing will not occur if we prefer to remain unwell. This is yet another reason to become aware of our thoughts. Question 7. How could God allow someone who was miraculously healed to become sick again with the same disease? It all comes down to free will. Since we are free to think whatever we wish, the universal intelligence will not interfere with our thoughts. And since illness starts in the thoughts, it is logical that repetitive negative thoughts will have a negative impact on our health. While a physical disease may be healed, the thought patterns that contributed to its creation may not change, thereby enabling the condition to recur. Question 8. Is there hope I won't develop any of the diseases that took my parents' lives? Yes. While the current understanding of inherited risk factors says we are born with an arbitrary blend of the genes of each of our parents and of their parents before them and so on, and that it cannot be changed without medical intervention, the newer understanding is the blend is not arbitrary and it is not static. The all creates the blend to reflect the spiritual makeup of the family unit, as well as to meet the spiritual learning needs of the soul who is about to incarnate. Further, the blend adapts to reflect the spiritual condition of the soul as it progresses through life. In other words, our genes are dynamic. So even if we are born with the genetic predisposition that goes along with, for example, Alzheimer's disease, as long as we do not have the thought patterns that go along with it, the disorder will not develop. Another good reason to become aware of and reduce and refine our negative thoughts, attitudes, and emotions. Question 9. Why do we get sick, suffer injuries, and/or have accidents? Disease is not a punishment sent from God. Our ancestors had no way to explain why we get sick other than to blame the devil or curses or sometimes even God. Modern medicine has provided us with treatments and cures for many conditions and disorders, but we still have no explanation for their cause. We know what happens, but not why. I believe that our thoughts are the why. It is the mind-body-spirit connection that contributes to illnesses of all sorts, including chronic and communicable diseases, inherited and congenital conditions, anniversary illnesses, and even injuries, whether accidental or intentional. The mind-body-spirit connection. For every human illness, injury, or accident, there is a spiritual component that comes from within self. The spirit and mind components of a condition result from our thoughts, attitudes, emotions, beliefs, and desires. It is these that make us who we are. They create our physical reality. They either raise or lower our personal vibrational frequency. You may be wondering how our thoughts could possibly affect our physical bodies. After all, our thoughts are invisible and nobody hears them, right? While it is true that no other humans hear our thoughts, unless we actually say them out loud, our body pays attention to them, and our body reacts to them. How? Our central nervous system, housed within our spinal column, controls the various areas of the body. Not only does it coordinate and control all of the body's organs and structures, it also transmits our thoughts, or at least the vibrations of them, throughout the body. It's the thoughts. It's always the thoughts. Each and every time we have a certain type of thought, like love or hate, joy or anger, or a particular desire or belief, the message is transmitted via the spinal cord to the vertebra responsible for the particular area of the body that is affected by the particular thoughts, attitudes, emotions, beliefs, and desires. Sometimes the result of having a particular thought is almost immediate, as with accidents and injuries. Other times the outcome may not happen for days, as with certain illnesses. And some habitual thought patterns can take years to manifest in physical, as with chronic diseases. Eventually, though, our thoughts, attitudes, emotions, beliefs, and desires will catch up with us. For example, physically, the first cervical vertebra is linked to blood supply to the head, pituitary gland, scalp bones of the face, brain, inner and middle ear, sympathetic nervous system, per Gray's Anatomy. The spiritual component of problems with C1 is having beliefs that disagree with one another. For example, believing that a person is or was a saint, yet knowing that she or he really is or was not. The effect of a constant flow of energy of such a belief creates imbalance in the vertebra, ultimately creating a number of physical ailments. Coincidence? Many people get sick or have an accident at the same time of year every year. Is it just a coincidence, or is there something more meaningful at work? Incredible as it may seem, our unresolved issues can trigger physical symptoms and slash or cause additional traumatic experiences around their anniversary date. How can this be? We do not pay attention to most of our thoughts, but trust me, we think about our unresolved issues much of the time. We just keep on replaying them, looking for some solution as to why they happened. We know when they happened. We remember where we were, what we were doing, others who were present or absent, anyone who helped or harmed, sounds, tastes, and smells. It should come as no surprise, then, that as the anniversary date approaches, we begin to feel more stress than usual, without really knowing why. This additional stress creates an extra load on our immune system until we catch a virus or have a painful accident that we would normally be able to avoid. This goes on year after year, and we soon start to dread that time of year. Bad news, good news. Unfortunately, until the inner conflict is resolved, we are doomed to repeat what has become a seemingly uncontrollable thought pattern. Fortunately, we can change. We can resolve these issues once and for all by practicing meditation and doing the spiritual exercises in Section 9. An example from my own life. When I was about 7 years old, I had a severe ear infection that resulted in mastoiditis. Surgery removed the damaged portions and the infection healed, but the affected ear ended up with moderately severe hearing loss. The condition was diagnosed as being untreatable, and I remained deaf for 35 years. This is the body component of our health. It consists of our physical environment, which is our bodies as well as the world in which we live. In 1995, a health crisis motivated me to begin meditating, and that's when things started changing. I met an amazing woman, Faye, who told me that along with 8 energy treatments, restoration of my hearing would be in direct relation to the amount of work I was prepared to do upon myself. I took this information to heart and began to work on me, and Faye began work on my ear. A few weeks later, after the full course of energy treatments and much belated grieving, forgiveness, meditation, soul-searching on my part, my hearing was restored. I call this miraculous healing because even though it was not instantaneous, there was no medical intervention. Once I realized my deafness resulted from my own thoughts and desires, I resolved to learn everything I could about the spiritual component, not only of illness, but of healing. My deafness began because the universe cooperated with my wish to not hear my parents' constant arguing and my sister's constant babbling, and it ended because of an even deeper desire to change my life. Whenever my parents argued, which was almost every day, and whenever my sister babbled, which was every day, I would think to myself, please, oh please, stop. This is the mind component of our health. It consists of our thoughts, attitudes, and emotions. The infection happened because I had no way to defend myself from the arguing and babbling, and I hated having to hear it all. This desire to not hear is the spirit component of our health. My deafness occurred when the spirit and the mind worked together to provide the body with the circumstances under which my desire could be met. My desire came first, then the infection, then the mastoiditis and surgery, then the deafness. Healing became possible once I realized I no longer needed to not hear the arguing and the babbling. I was able then to find forgiveness not only for my family's chaos, but also for myself. After all, in truth, my deafness sprang from within myself, so I really did need to forgive me. The challenge. While it is challenging to accept responsibility for our health, recognizing and changing our negative thoughts, attitudes, and emotions improves, heals, and cures our physical ailments beyond belief. By using our mind in conjunction with our will and combining resolution of our inner conflicts with medical treatment, we can release ourselves from needless suffering. As we begin to accept the reality of the spirit-mind-body health connection, humanity will benefit in many ways. It may take some time, though. After all, no one likes to hear their belief system is not based in truth, and no one likes to hear they themselves have any negative thoughts, attitudes, or emotions. In the meantime, we will continue to learn and grow, and eventually, I believe, come to the realization our thoughts, attitudes, emotions, beliefs, and desires are co-creators of conditions on planet Earth. Then the real work begins.